introduction, literature review, methodology, the results and conclusion, and the final is critiques and suggestion. First, I want to talk about the definition of term. First is EQI means emotional quotient inventory, and EI means emotional intelligence. And third is foreign language listening anxiety. Introduction, including three parts: background of the study, purpose of the study, and research questions. Background of the study. Now a pervasive catch term and a highly popular concept which has outlived most of its late 20th centuries, rivaling counterparts is a little bit nervous. It's emotional intelligence. And in 1997, Barnes has claimed and viewed as an area of non-cognitive capabilities, competencies, and skills that influence one's ability to succeed in coping with environmental demands and pressures. And emotional intelligence has now turned to a panacea for a vast variety of setbacks, logging different aspects of people's occupational, academic, and social lives. And about the purpose of this study, to probe in the potential relationship between emotional intelligence, foreign language listening anxiety, and listening comprehension performance of Iranian EFL learners. There are 6 research questions in this study. First is there any relationship between Iranian EFL learners' emotional intelligence and their listening comprehension performance? Second, is there any relationship between Iranian learners' foreign language listening anxiety and their listening comprehension performance? Third, between the emotional and their foreign language listening anxiety. Fourth, does emotional intelligence predict the listening comprehension performance of Iranian EFL learners? Fifth, does emotional intelligence predict the foreign language listening anxiety of Iranian EFL learners? And the last question is, does foreign language listening anxiety predict the listening comprehension performance of Iranian EFL learners? Second part is literature review. In 2007, this researcher claimed that the pivotal role of emotional intelligence in bringing about augmented academic performance. And in 2008, this researcher found that emotional intelligence of learners, their anxiety and empathy were positively affected by instruction through the researcher's device course. And also in 2008, another researcher showed a significant correlation between participants' listening performance and their emotional intelligence. And in 2010, this researcher found that emotional intelligence can act as one of the major predictors of individuals' attitudes as well as their behavior. And third part, methodology, contains participants, instruments, procedure, and measurement. About the participants, there are 160 students from 3 different universities, and their age average is from 18 to 27 years old. And the instrument, there are 2 instruments in this study. First is emotional quotient inventory. It's a self-reported measurement of emotional and socially intelligent behavior, which was first developed by in 1997. And here's the major and minor subscales including in the EQI model. And here's are the 5 major subscales: intrapersonal, interpersonal, stress management, adaptability, and general mood is the 5 major subscales, and 15 minor subscales. And it has 133 items. And second instrument is body language listening anxiety scales as a measurement for body language listening anxiety. And here's a sample. 1 is strongly disagree and 5 is strongly agree. And it used 20 items. And procedure, the researcher at first do the homogenization of the participants through the TOEFL. And second, give
open the window.
Sorry.
Down here. But do you remember that the author presented, I forgot who that was? Do you remember that when she presented the study, her study, who was that? Who was the presenter? You said that one step before you start studying, that's researcher. April, do you remember that the instrument that the researcher used to homogenize all the participants' performance? Do you remember the instrument? 我记得吗？一开始为了要去掉delay，他用也是一个工具，是能力啊，就 OPT。啊，对，他是用 R 谁记得
？OPT 啊。
哎，你不记得，你不记得，你再告诉我们。啊，这个动作很重要，其实especially actually in this study you test the performance too, right? That's very very important. At the beginning, the way you recruit a participant, you need to make sure that the level of the all participants you recruit about the same level. So you need to delete some people, right? So in this study, the instrument you are the researcher applying is
TOEFL.
Yes. Okay.
And the second part, the user use the Barnes EQI questionnaires, and the participant he spent 30 to 40 minutes to do the questionnaires, and the last is body language anxiety, listening anxiety scale, and do it in 10 minutes. Research question 1 to question 3 use the Pearson correlation, and research question 4 to 6 use multiple regression analysis. And the results about question 1: is there any relationship between Iranian EFL learners' emotional intelligence and their listening comprehension performance? You can see on this figure, there was a strong, direct, and positive relationship between the participants' listening comprehension and their total emotional intelligence score. And question 2, between EF learners' foreign language listening anxiety and their listening comprehension performance. Also, there was a strong indirect and negative relationship between the listening comprehension of participants and their foreign language listening anxiety. And question 3, is there any relationship between emotional intelligence and their foreign language listening anxiety? And as you can see, a strong indirect and also negative relationship is found to hold between foreign language listening anxiety of participants and their total EQ scores. And fourth, does emotional intelligence predict the listening comprehension performance of Iranian EFL learners? There are soft skills. First is problem solving, independence, stress tolerance, self-actualization, impulse control, and empathy. Subcategories of emotional intelligence have statistically significant impact on the listening comprehension of the participants. And 5th question: does emotional intelligence predict the foreign language listening anxiety of Iranian EFL learners? Also have first is problem solving, happiness, self-actualization, optimism, and impulse control, empathy, and assertiveness. And this subcategories of emotional intelligence have statistically significant impact on the foreign language listening anxiety of the participants. And the last question: does foreign language listening anxiety predict the listening comprehension performance of Iranian EFL learners? The standardized coefficient value for FLLA is statistically significant. FLLA has influenced listening comprehension performance of participants. So the conclusion is the current study deals with the possible role of emotional intelligence and anxiety as the potential internal and external factors influencing the process of listening comprehension. It was postulated that while emotional intelligence is likely to affect listening process in a positive way, anxiety might thwart the normal listening performance in learners. And critiques and suggestions. In this study, lack of literature about the variable FLLAS and listening comprehension performance. And the researchers should increase more information about these two variables. Thank you for listening.
Very